Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Peace be upon you all and the mercy and blessings of God. A question that comes up a lot is, if you're Muslim, why do you refer to the Bible? Why do you speak from the Bible? Why do you quote the Bible? Being Muslim, shouldn't you believe in the Bible? Well, I'm here to answer that question today. As Muslims, we believe in divine revelation. Divine revelation means something that was revealed from up high. If you all know the story of Moses, how God talked directly to Moses through the burning bush, that story is also in the Qur'an as well. Moses received the commandments directly from God. Moses went to the mountaintop and received divine revelation from God himself. Now, we believe that other prophets received revelation as well, except they didn't get it directly from God. They got it through the archangel Gabriel. We believe Moses received the Torah. We believe David received the Psalms. We believe Abraham received the scrolls. We believe Jesus himself received revelation. We call it the Injil, which basically means the gospel. Now, that's not saying that we believe random men were inspired to write it. Not to discredit the Bible, but these random men, what were their last names? The book of Matthew. If you look at the introduction to the book of Matthew, it says the book of Matthew, the author is unknown, but for the sake of convenience, we will call him Matthew. How do you know how credible it is if we don't know anything about the author? And last but not least, we believe in the Qur'an. We believe the Qur'an was revealed as well to the Prophet Muhammad through the angel Gabriel. The only difference between the Qur'an and these earlier scriptures is we believe the earlier scriptures are not in the original form in which they were revealed. There's proof of that. That's not the Muslims holding our book holier than the other books. Is there an Aramaic Bible? Do you have the original Aramaic Bible? The original Gospel of Christ in Aramaic? No. The first English Bible that was authorized for public use was in 1539. Gutenberg invented the printing press in 1440. 1539, the first Bible was authorized for public use. That Bible had 80 books in it. Not only that, Common Bible today has 66 books in it. Catholic Bible has 73 books in it. Ethiopian Bible has 81 books in it. How many books are there in the Bible? I don't care what country you go to. I don't care what language the Quran has been translated to. There's 114 surahs, 114 chapters in the Quran. That will not change. That has not changed. We still have the original revelation in the original language it was revealed. You could take all of the Qurans in the world and destroy them. There are people as early as the age of 3. Check. He's in Guinness World Book Records that have memorized the Quran word for word by heart. That book has not changed. And based off the authenticity of it, we don't go by earlier scriptures. And when we say that, we're not disrespecting it. We're not trying to belittle it. None of that. But think about it. Why are you taught not to question the Bible? You're taught not to question the Bible because by doing so, you will question the authorship. And they say God's not the author of confusion. That's true. People that say that, but if God inspired random men to write it, why didn't none of these prophets write that? None of Jesus' disciples wrote that. A random man wrote it. What's his name? Where did he come from? Nothing. God chose prophets to bring forth the message. That message is universal. That message has never changed. That message was the first commandment. Thou shalt not take any other god as worship but God. For his name is jealous, and he is a jealous God. Anything else that you put before God, whether it's drugs, women, video games, cars, that's a god. That first commandment has never changed. Worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Jesus said that in Luke 4:8. And I always say supposedly said it because who knows what's been changed and what hasn't. When I took a world religions course in college, a lot of people were like, we went over ancient Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff. And the first thing that a lot of my classmates said, a lot of them closed-minded, they were never exposed to anything else. They were like, why do they believe that? That's not in the Bible. And the professor had to keep on explaining to them, assume that they have their own scripture of choice. You can't use the Bible. The Bible is not a basis for every religion. It's not a founding scripture for every religion. I don't mean this to be offensive, but Christians can't even agree on the Bible. You If you say one verse, be like, well, what version is that? Why should it matter what version it is? Shouldn't the message be the same in every Bible? Oh, that's the King James, or that's the NIV, or that's the... Why should it matter which version it is? Shouldn't the message itself still be the same? Shouldn't the message itself still be the same? So, Mark, Luke, John, who are they? Because it's not John the Baptist. Who is Mark? What about the Gospel of Thomas? What about the Gospel of Barnabas? I've read the Gospel of Barnabas. Very interesting read. Very interesting read. But as to whether it was authentic or not, as a Muslim, as bad as I would like to claim it, because a lot of Islam's in there, the Prophet Muhammad's name is in the Gospel of Barnabas and everything, we cannot claim the Gospel of Barnabas because we do not know its sources. We don't know where it came from. We don't know who wrote it. There's no line, there's no chain of authenticity. Everything that we read, everything that's passed down is authenticated. We know the source. We know about that. We know the person who said it 1,400 years ago. We know his life story. We know whether he was a truthful person or not. Everything is authenticated. You can't just come, hey, I wrote my own. My physical therapist said that his granddaddy was writing his own Bible. Why? What's wrong with the Bibles that's already here? Everything is authenticated. A common person can't just say, hey, I'm gonna write this. Who gets to pick and choose what book is canon and what book is not? If it came from the Most High, if it came from God himself, who has the power to omit it? In all humbleness, nobody in this world can take a chapter out of the Qur'an. Nobody in this world can add a chapter to the Qur'an. When we stay in prayer at the mosque, if a brother's reciting a verse from the Qur'an and he gets a part wrong, the beautiful part of the religion is anybody can correct him. And it's our job to correct him. If he says the slightest error in it, a brother, he can be way at the back praying, lined up way back in the ranks. It's his job to correct whoever's leading that prayer. But in order to correct, that means we have to know it. We know enough about it to correct each other. So when we do believe, yes, we believe that there were earlier scriptures, but we also believe those earlier scriptures are not in the same original form anymore. They no longer exist. Either they were books, certain books were omitted, or certain things were added, or, they no longer exist. If they did, all of the Bibles would have the same amount of books in them. But they don't. Random men, God inspired random men to write it. That's it. That's good enough. Who are these random men? But I just had to answer that question because I've heard that before. Oh, why do y'all quote the Bible? Well, a lot of us quote the Bible because we know the Bible. We've read the Bible. We know what's in it. We know what's not in it. We're not putting a twist. We're not putting a slant. We're not putting using the Muslim magic on it. Or, oh, you have to read the whole paragraph. Okay, and guess what? It still says the same thing. Okay? Oh, well, that's not in there. Is it? Or are you just saying it because you don't know because you haven't read it? People read. And I'm not saying read so you can become Muslim. Just read. Read what it is you believe, because who knows, maybe the way you believe isn't the way you should be believing. And who knows, maybe reading will make you stronger in your own faith. But read. And try to, be humble about what you know and be humble about what you don't know. But, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all and the mercy and blessings of God.